Morning, good afternoon, and good evening, no matter where you are watching us from today. My name is Michael Firth, one of the founding Field Advisory Board members and Crowns with Neumi, and I love doing these interviews every week because we get to hear from a medical professional or someone around the world who's had a profound experience with our products. Today, we're going to be hearing from Dr. Bethany Dixon, a special interview where she's going to be sharing a story which will blow your mind, as well as some the background of the product. But as we know, social media takes people sometimes up to 30 seconds to get online. So do me a favor, type in where you're watching us from in the chat and I'll get a timer up and then we'll start the interview straight after. Alrighty, welcome online, ladies and gentlemen. We put that little timer on because we know it takes a few seconds for people to go, oh, the event that I was going to log into is starting soon. So do us a favor, you'll see down the bottom that's scrolling across that we're live streaming into 74 different countries. And some people have been watching the replay, some people will be on here live, but we would love to type in where you're watching from, no matter whether it's the replay or what. We're live streaming on Facebook, YouTube, my personal profile, everything Neumi Worldwide, LinkedIn, you name it, we're absolutely everywhere live today. And so today we're actually going to be interviewing Dr. Bethany Dixon, a great friend of mine that I've met through our journey with Neumi, and the story is going to blow your mind. And I want to remind you that if you're on Everything Neumi Worldwide right now, that is the hub for all the live streaming events across the world. Every single event is always live streamed there, which makes it all easy to find in one place. And if you don't speak fluent English, that's not a problem, because guess what? We have presentations listed there in pretty much every language known to man. So final thing I want to say is type in pick me please if you want to go in the draw for a free bottle of our product. We always draw a lucky winner every time. So just beforehand, as God is my witness and Bethany Dixon is too, we randomly picked somebody who was on the last event. Now, if your name is Sam, I know that sounds like a double up, Sam, and if your face looks like that, guess what? You're the lucky winner. So do me a favor, reach out on Everything Neumi Worldwide page, and we will actually make sure you get a bottle of product out real quick. Now, what I love is we've got people logging in all over the place. I can see Perth, Western Australia. I can see, New Zealand in Christchurch. I can see people logging in from Arizona. So keep typing in the chat. We've got people from Melbourne. We've got people from all over the place, and people are already starting to type in pick me please because they want to be the lucky winner next week. So as I said, today's interview is actually a special interview with Dr. Bethany Dixon. And a bit of background before I bring her on. Bethany has a Bachelor of Science in dietetics, I don't know if I pronounced that right, nutrition, and a minor in biology and a minor in chemistry. She practiced as a registered dietitian for many years and went on to the National University of Health Sciences for her Doctor of Chiropractic degree. She opened the Drivers Health Clinic in 2016 and, proud to say, she's a member of the Neumi Medical Advisory Board. So if you're watching this for the first time, we have a voluntary board of doctors and scientists right around the world that volunteer for free because they get results in our products with their clients. The other thing is I love motorsports, and Bethany was also at the Red Bull Racing recently. And that's just one of the many things she's been invited to speak on. So with that in mind, enough about me. Let's bring on Bethany Dixon. So welcome online.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for taking the time. Now, I gave a little bit of an example of your background for the people watching, but I would love it if you could maybe drill a little bit deeper and tell us about your background.
Absolutely. So my first love was with health and nutrition. And so I went for my undergrad degree in nutrition and dietetics, and you said it beautifully. And I became a registered dietitian. Unfortunately, in my senior year of undergrad, I actually was diagnosed with thyroid cancer. And so it derailed my ability to go straight to school to be a chiropractor, because that was actually my goal at age 8, believe it or not. My sister had fallen down a spiral staircase. Nobody else could help her, and the chiro did. And so that's where my first love and passion came from. But thank God that I got a degree that I could actually get a job in. So I was sick, but I was taken care of. And but I had to get a job. So I practiced as a dietitian for many years and just in the hospital, took care of diabetes, all of those fun things. And then I decided one day to be able to move on. And I went back to school to become a chiropractor. And I went to the University of Health Sciences and graduated as a chiropractic physician in 2014. And then I did open my practice in 2016, which you had already had said. And I was fortunate enough to talk to Steve and do a study. And then he invited me into the most wonderful thing, which is the medical advisory board for Neumi, which I am proud and honored to be a part of. And that leads me where I am right now.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Now, interesting. I've known Bethany for quite some time, but I did not know what we're about to hear right now. Now, my wife recently, we had to move house real quick because we discovered we had mold toxicity, and it was really negatively impacting her health in a major way. And a lot, not as major as the story you're going to share. So we'd love it if you could maybe just share with us, a little bit about your story.
Yes, I am thrilled that I can now talk about it. I was in a legal battle for a long time and wasn't able to share my complete story, so I now am. So in 2016, we built a brand new home, and they didn't put the vapor barrier in the ground, which if you guys aren't in construction, basically there's a barrier between the concrete and the ground that they put in so that water doesn't suck up through it. So during that time when it happened, we didn't know there was anything wrong. And the first thing that happened was my significant other stuck a plug into the outlet and it electrocuted him. And so he started to get buzzed, right? So water was just coming out of the outlets. And we're like, what the heck, right? We had no idea why. And then water started dripping out of our AC ducts in the ceiling. And I'm going to make a really long 8-year process much shorter. They started cutting holes out of our AC, out of our ceiling, and the water just kept coming, right? We couldn't figure out why. Tiles were popping up off of the floor. Our mud bed underneath the shower never dried. So the stones that were in the shower bed would just pop up. Um, Literal water under the ground, but we didn't know why, right? And at the time, we didn't realize there was mold. But as all that water trickles inside the walls, it builds mold. And so I tell you that I was a cancer patient on purpose because I was the first one sick. So, it's kind of like the eggshell effect, the most sensitive person gets sick first. So at that point, I was healthy as could be. I was running 3, 4 times a week. And when I went out to run, I ran nothing less than a 5K. I was at the top of my health. And so all of a sudden I started getting really sick with things that I had never been sick before. So my kidneys would hurt. I had urinary issues. Bladder type infections, but nobody could find anything wrong with me. They did a cystoscopy, which they stick a tube up and look, and there was all kinds of inflammation, but no reason for it. There were aches and pains all over. I went to 7 different physicians, and all 7 of them said, we have no idea what's wrong with you. So luckily I am a doctor. I hadn't been a doctor very long. I was a doctor 2 years at that point, but always into the natural health type things. And so I came across this pamphlet that said, test for mold. So I contacted the company and I did a urinary test and I got the results and I was all excited because at least I had an answer, right? I was like, I have mold in my system. Didn't know where it was coming from, but had an idea. And so then I went back down. I went to infectious disease and they said, sorry, if we can't treat you with an antibiotic, there's nothing we can do for you. I don't know what to do with mold. And I'm like, what do you mean you don't know what to do with mold? So went to more and more doctors and had every test under the sun done. And then finally called the company back. And I said, I have all this proof that I have this going on in my system, but nobody knows what to do with it. Where can I go? And they said, well, we have this doctor, but he's on the other coast. Luckily, we were both in Florida. So he's on the other coast. His name is Dr. Crozier. Here's your information. So I sent a message over and I said, hey, I'm sick as a dog. Nobody else knows what to do with me. Can you help me? And so we actually met online because I'm about 2.5 hours from him. And we met just like this and started doing some stuff and then ran some lab work. And again, long story short, he started treating me and said, yeah, you definitely have mold. He's like, but you got to figure out where it's coming from. So we went into that and I'm like, it's got to be coming from this house. At this point I was getting mold in areas you could see, but not horrible, right? And we thought it was only in one area. We didn't think it was systemically through the house. So nobody else was sick until my dog started losing all her hair. And so at that point, Dr. Crozier had put me on a glutathione product. It was the predecessor to this product, but it was what it was, and it definitely helped. But it wasn't until we came out with the Neumi product that actually helped my entire family. So at that point, my other half was getting sick. My son was getting sick. He was in early high school at that point, and I had decided to move. But when you have a brand new home and all your furniture is brand new and you maxed out every penny you had to move in there, it was really difficult. So I had to wait and save to move, which is, like you said, you need to be out as fast as possible, right? We did end up getting out, but by the time we got out, we were all sick. So Ben ended up not working for almost 5 years. He got deathly ill, created a stutter, couldn't walk without a cane. Mind you, I'm 45 now, so that would have been, he would have probably been about 40 at that point. And, now has a handicap placard on his car because he can't walk very far. He can't breathe. Anything that touches his skin causes these horrible reactions. I had been treated with the glutathione product, so I was getting better. He was getting sick, because he didn't believe there was anything wrong with him. So, and then Tyler ended up getting sick, and Tyler's my son. And so we all ended up with injections, and Ben ended up on weekly IVs. But the best and most amazing thing that ever happened was the Swish product, because although in the injections and the IVs that Dr. Crozier would give us, he would end it with glutathione as well, but we could supplement the glutathione 3-4 times a day because we were that sick. So 3-4 times a day, I was getting glutathione in my body to go ahead and detox all of this, toxins out of my system. And I got better faster and faster and faster, but I had been on glutathione for years at this point, where he had just started it because he was a stubborn man. And although I love him, he's a stubborn man that will, not admit there's anything wrong until he's almost dead. So it took that long for him to try the product.
That's most men, by the way.
Right. Right. So after he started the product, then, it started getting better and better, and it eased it all up. And now we were 8 years out when the lawsuit finished, which is why I'm now allowed to talk about it. But I give all the credit in the world to glutathione and to the Neumi Swish product for saving all of our lives. To this day, there's still some other supplements that we take, but nothing that is anywhere comparable to the Neumi product, not to mention the ease of use and the instant feeling that you get from it, and the amount of lives I've seen change since I got involved. Dr. Crozier, once I was involved, I called him and I was like, okay, how do I get this to my patients? My patients are full of toxins. All people are full of toxins, but my patients are all truck drivers. They're full of toxins. How do I do it? And so that's when he got a hold of Rhonda, and Rhonda and I debated back and forth of what we were going to do, but I ended up being able to share it with my patients. And it's been life-changing for so many people that I am honored to be here today.
Well, let me share something with people, because when I saw these photos, I'm like, ugh. So keep in mind, my wife and my example, we knew there was mold through an air test. Well, first we found it was in her body, and then we've gone, let's get a mold air test, and they said it was 7,000 and unsafe is 1,000. So it was off the Richards code, like get out now. But I saw your photos. We couldn't see ours. Check this out, guys. This is going to blow your mind.
So we had locked the doors and left, but at this point we came back in just to take some pictures, and that's what the ceiling looked like throughout the whole house. So that was all in the house before it penetrated through where we could see it. It was in the walls and in the ceilings, and we had left and locked the door. And when we came back, this is what our couch looked like. Yeah. So it was pretty devastating.
Do you know what's really interesting is that we got out of the previous place, and I said, you guys cannot lease this to anyone legally. And they did. They just went and leased it. So legally, that's negligence, but that's a whole other story.
So yeah, I'll go into the same thing. So we were in the middle of having the house condemned for obvious reasons. It looked like that. And as soon as the legal system got involved, they gutted the whole place and painted it and fixed it and sold it.
Wow, that's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
All for profit. Well, let's talk about the trucker study. Now, I love the fact that we have this trucker study. It's one of the earliest things I saw in the Neumi journey, which proves categorically what these products do, and you were behind this. So tell us more about that. Now, guys, I know you're looking at the screen and going, that's tiny print, I can't read it. Well, the cool thing is whoever invited you to this event can send you the trucker study from their free Neumi app. Which we'll talk about the results. So with that in mind, tell us a little bit about the results that you saw in your trucker study.
Yeah, so I was so excited that what it did for me that I was ready to give it to other people. And when I was on the phone, I remember calling Rhonda and saying, I need to get something on paper to show not only what it's done for me, but what it's done for others. And she's like, okay, well, let's talk to Steve. So I was on the phone with Steve and Sean and Ryan and everybody. And I'm like, this is what I want to do. So I can do this part, but you guys got to put it on paper because that's not my gift. So what I did is they shipped me, and this is way back when we had the white bottle. So the white bottle was 1 versus 6 times as effective as the blue bottle. Oh, look at you. So the blue bottle that we have today is 6 times stronger than the white bottle. And I say that because if you look at the numbers are astounding anyway. But think about being 6 times stronger than they were. And I also want to talk about men because I love them dearly, but men are not great at responding to things and saying how they feel, right? It's harder to get a study of 100% men, which is what this was, than women who may say, "Oh, this doesn't feel good and this doesn't feel good." So it was a little bit of pulling teeth to get this information out. So we had mini bottles that were smaller than the blue mini bottles. They were 2 shots. And we took cases of them and I flipped them over and I numbered them all, right? So I had little sticker numbers and I put them on the bottom, and I would only give them a month's worth at a time, and they would show up in my office and I would give it to them, and we would make phone calls weekly because I wanted to know not only what you were telling me, but what the numbers were to work with it. Because if you told me you took it every day for a month, but you were on bottle number 5, I knew obviously you weren't taking the product, right? So there was some kind of verification there. And I would also call them, and we had this long list of all these questions and 0 to 10 on how they felt and where it came from and where it was going. And so these numbers, can you put that back up there? I didn't print that off. Sorry. So these numbers were just absolutely amazing because 1, it was the earlier product, but 2, it was also the group we were working with. So in there, when you look at one of the most amazing things for me is you've got a bunch of truck drivers. So things that are incredibly important is whether or not brain fog, whether or not you're alert, right? It increased alertness. Michael, do you have that picture back up?
I can bring that back. Just give me a second. Where did it go? There it is.
I just don't want to get the numbers wrong.
Yeah. Here it is. Can you read it on that tiny little screen?
I can. I can.
All right, there you go.
Fantastic. Okay, so when we talked about alertness, if you look over, it says alertness increased by 47 to 63%. That's phenomenal for me because that speaks safety. And yes, I want everybody alert, but I really want people hauling, 80 tons down the road to be alert because we're driving next to them, right? So we want to make sure that they're alert, they're with it, they're focused, right? So increased focus by 58% and decreased brain fog by 79%. And these are numbers, again, self-reported. So they're like, wow, I feel really good. And I had told them when we started, don't change anything that you do. If you're drinking Red Bull, drink your Red Bull. And I don't normally say this, but I didn't want anything altered, right? My mantra is get off all that junk. But when I was doing this study, I didn't want them to change their life. I wanted them to continue life and go on and just add this one product. But as I was getting these reports back, they kept saying, but doc, I don't need the coffee and I don't need the energy drinks anymore. So I just stopped them. I was like, well, that's excellent. But, again, I didn't ask you to do that, but that's amazing. So the daily energy increased between 53 and 84%. And most of those were after they had gotten rid of their caffeine. So no longer were they waking up to having coffee. No longer were they waking up to, doing an energy shot. I actually went all decaf after I had started. Now, if I drink anything with caffeine, I actually get the shakes. So just because my body doesn't need it anymore. And when I was in school, I was drinking 3 venti, caramel macchiatos like a day, so I just don't need them anymore. But the other thing is really impressive is the dozing off. So I do a lot of talks about sleep apnea. Sleep apnea is huge in my world. In fact, unfortunately, one of my employees last week lost an uncle to sleep apnea. He wasn't using his CPAP. He went to sleep and just didn't wake back up. And it's devastating. And, it breaks my heart that it's hitting so close to home. But you look at dozing off and decreased by 42%. So they're sleeping better. It is also one of the things that I noticed for myself is I would lay down, be tired all day long and then lay down and couldn't sleep. So when I started taking the Swish, I could actually fall asleep and get restful sleep. So are you going to sleep at night, but in the morning you feel exhausted? The glutathione itself will go in and help you sleep and feel rested when you sleep. So you wake up feeling so much better. And the dozing off was decreased again by 42%. They reduced the energy crashes as well. 14 out of 19 truckers reported a reduction in energy crashes while taking this because it doesn't give you a spike, right? It gives you a nice increase and it just keeps you where you need to be. And if you feel like you are tailing off, you take some more. There's no problem to taking more. I know a lot of my drivers that'll be on a long haul that, aren't feeling amazing. And they'll be like, Doc, I take it, 2-3 times a day while I'm driving so that I can feel great. I actually just drove to Atlanta, speaking of vehicles, Atlanta Motor Speedway to go watch NASCAR. And I made sure I had a bottle in the car with me because 6 hours of driving for me is a lot of driving. And so I probably swished 2 or 3 times during that drive as well. So the other things that we weren't actually looking for, but were really reported, muscle soreness decreased by 68%. You got to realize these guys are in this position all day long and they're not moving around all that much unless they're throwing straps and those kind of things. And they get really achy and sore and repetitive motion injuries, wrist injuries, ankles, knees, those kind of things hurt. So we had a decrease of muscle soreness by 68%. And then the other one that is really close to my heart is headache and migraines. So 42% decrease in headache and migraines. And most of those reported those decreases almost instantly. So if you felt like you had a headache, you went ahead and you swished and they went away fairly quickly, within minutes for most people. So, those are absolutely amazing results that I wasn't even looking for. That was just oh, yay, look at this. Right. And then increased mobility. So being able to get those stretches in, get those muscles moving, increased mobility by 58%. So if you took all of this and we redid the study at being 6 times stronger of a product and maybe just having a little more streamlined and maybe having a more broad group of people, these numbers could even be higher, which just blows my mind because where in the world do you ever see any product that has numbers like these? I don't think I ever have. And again, this drove me to say, hey, how do I get more involved? And again, this is an unpaid position, but I have such a passion and a drive for this product that it doesn't matter if they pay me or don't pay me. I want to stand on the top of the building and scream because I feel so amazing. And it has helped so many people in my life.
Love it. Love it, love it, love it. And I just thought I'll just put this in there. Some people may be watching this presentation and going, glutathione, what's that? Quick 20-second snippet so you understand. And the person who invited you can tell you more information. Glutathione, the master antioxidant of your body, optimal 18 to 20 years of age, drops 10 to 15% per decade in a completely healthy individual. So you need to supplement. If you take it orally, it gets destroyed by the digestive process. There's 186,000 peer-reviewed studies on PubMed now talking about it, most studied molecule in the world. But everybody is doing the old style where we started with glutathione precursors, which were great in their day. But this here, with particle size shrunk with hydrostat under 10 nanometers, you put in your mouth, it absorbs it through the cheeks, under the tongue, and it's in the bloodstream in 30 seconds. So quick science lesson on that one. Any final thoughts that you'd love to share with everybody?
It's just been really exciting to be able to talk all over the world about this product. I mean, when I was in London at the Red Bull factory, I was talking about Neumi, and when I was on stage with Dr. Phil, I was able to talk about Neumi. And I went to the Women in Trucking Association with Rhonda and Sherry, and we were able to talk about Neumi. So being able to share this product and know that deep down in my heart that people are improving their lives just makes me happy. So if you've never heard of it, if you've never tried it, but you just don't feel right and you would like to feel a little more energy, decrease brain fog, just try it, right? Like just give it a whirl and see. And so I also have a couple patients that do some amazing things with it. Just as a quick aside, this spray product that we have, I am a chiropractor by trade. I have people that spray it on topically and get decreased muscle pain. I have people with skin issues that, they also put this on a cotton ball and put it on there. It's got so many applications, so much more than I went into. It is literally the best thing I have ever come in contact with, and nobody's paying me to say that. It has changed my life and it will change yours. So give it a try.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing today. I can see in the chat lots of people blown away with your feedback. So thank you. Now, as we close out today, everybody, I just want to say we said at the start of the event, if your name is Sam, you just want a free bottle of product. I don't know who you are. You need to reach out on Everything Neumi Worldwide, the hub for our events, and send a message there. But for anybody else who's on the event today for the first time, you can also be on the draw. So if you're watching this playback on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, anywhere, type in "pick me please" when you're watching the playback, and type in where you're watching us from, because we're in 74 different countries around the world, and we look forward to seeing you get the same sorts of results that everybody else is getting. This is revolutionary stuff for health and wellness. I want to finish off by saying our products are not designed to treat, cure, prevent any disease, but they will make a profound impact on your general wellness. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, no matter where you're watching us from today.